Hello and welcome to What Most People Think for the first episode of the year. And we start with a bang. Literally, if you live in Venezuela, there's a lot to talk about there. We've also had Keir Starmer's New Year interview to inspire and motivate. There you go. That's the earliest appearance of the impression of Keir Starmer this year. And it's a good point to bring in Alun Cochrane. We were just speculating how long it would take me to shamelessly bring out my Keir Starmer, and there it was within 30 seconds.
Wasn't very long, actually, was it?
Too short in some ways.
I've been listening to a few of those, watching a few of those old Adam Curtis BBC documentary things. Have you seen those? He's got an element of the Keir Starmer about his voice. So he's kind of up here, like it's the same.
Just a slightly restrained, as though talking itself is something that you're not naturally disposed to.
It's very, very English, isn't it? Like,
yeah,
a Scottish person never would use that register, or even a Welsh. Like, it just
well, it's like the words occur in your stomach, and then some sort of self-doubt or regret or guilt, sort of strangulates it in the throat, and then only just a small amount of air gets out. But we'll definitely talk about Keir as the show goes on.
You think?
You think? Well, it's a big year for the guy, big year for the fella. But the big question as we start the year, I think, is, Alan, when did your tree come down? Has it come down?
No, it's down already. I think it's something like January the 1st. My wife is not one of those that says, oh, we must wait until, what's the tradition? Is it the 5th or the 3rd?
I think it's today, yeah. The Feast of Fools, the Epiphany, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, she does not play by those rules. There's a point where she just gets sick of looking at the thing and it's gone.
There's definitely a one-night stand element, isn't there, to a tree that occurs over, or maybe a holiday romance, that there just comes a point where you look at them and you think, why did I love you? Why did I ever feel that way about you? And our tree as well. It started off, it wasn't the tallest tree we've ever had, but it was a good shape. It was a really lovely shape. But it started drooping really early, and it just looked like a sort of middle-age erection after a while.
And pretty soon we're going to have that thing where we're walking around the streets and just seeing real trees on pavements, you know, that sort of slightly forlorn, waiting to be collected thing, if the council even do it. Am I right?
Am I right? Yeah, I saw. I remember last year there was this article that said the woke mob have come for the trees, and I was saying, I wish they'd come for my tree. Eh? Round my way, we have to wait for the council. I mean, the other thing that people tend to say about Christmas trees is once they're down, they say, doesn't the lounge look strange without it? You go, the strange thing is having a tree in your house for a month. It's not. Yeah. It's not when the tree goes. It's just having a Norwegian spruce.
That's a very good point. The strange thing is having a tree in the house. But I suppose it's a bit like when you remove the Christmas party hat. You know, those stupid paper hats, and then it feels like your head's a slightly different shape, or there's something missing. It's a bit like that, isn't it?
I mean, the dogs. I have a very old dog, and I think for her, every year it must get increasingly weird, where she's like, I could have sworn there was a giant, well-lit tree in this house. God willing, she won't be seeing her last Christmas, but she is pretty fucking old. Piss steak prices. I mean, fucking, from my point of view, just the Christmas shop. Jesus Christ, because my wife normally does it, but I was present for it. I mean, we went to Tesco's and we used every bit of juice we had in the club card account, and it still come out as like over 200 quid.
You've sort of hoovered into a little bit of my territory here, because I don't know if I present as a stingy bloke to you, Jeff, but as I used to joke about on stage, I was born in Scotland and brought up in Yorkshire. I've got all the ingredients for being a stingy man. I am one of the few people in the world that is still buying instant coffee. I imagine you've gone all Metropolitan Elite and you're only
interesting. I bought my wife a coffee maker. Which I had an absolute disaster with, but no, there's a good Nescafe a zero. It's one of the more expensive ones, but it is still instant coffee.
Well, breaking news: they're all expensive now. They're all like, you know, I quite like a big jar of Nescafe just for a morning one, just first thing in the day. I like an instant, and then later on I might get a nice one or make a nice one or whatever. I mean, it's like £9 for a big jar of instant coffee or something.
Quantify big. What are we talking?
I mean, not small.
Could we have a comparison, like quite a large hamster standing up? I don't know. I'm struggling to think.
That'll do.
A rabbit on its hind legs.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but they are really gouging us on coffee, aren't they? In several different formats nowadays. We live near fairly posh coffee place that are doing one of these things where it's got mushrooms in it, like getting a mushroom mocha or something.
Mushroom mocha. I mean, straight away, just the alliterative element of that will outperform how good it is. But are you enjoying it more because it's called a mushroom mocha and that really rolls off the tongue?
She said, I'd like to try it. And I'm not exaggerating. I don't think there's much change out of a $5 for a mushroom mocha.
It's mad. I do think what's happened with coffee in this country is, like when we went from cheese toasties to paninis, essentially, I think big toasties sat down and said, we need to earn more money from this. Yeah. How do we do it? I think with the beverage industry, they just said, look, tea, everyone knows it's cheap as shit. And they've got us addicted to coffee. Yeah. And like any good drug dealer, once we're addicted, they're now jacking up the prices.
I love a conspiracy theory like this, but also this isn't the same subject, but you've just given me a brief bit of nostalgia for when I used to travel to London by National Express and they used to come round and ask you what sandwich you wanted. You'd say, cheese and ham. And a woman would go to the back of the coach and make sandwiches for customers. Feels like a time gone by, that, doesn't it?
That is a bit bizarre.
It's like seeing smoking on planes or during operations, someone making your sandwiches on a coach.
Eventually, though, there'll be a nostalgia. Somebody will realise that people hanker for that.
Yeah.
And somebody will just somehow circumnavigate the licensing thing. On this coach, you can smoke. And we got a canteen at the back, a proper canteen with instant coffee in a polystyrene cup, and it's 90p, and it's shit, but it is 90p.
I've just had a sip of instant, by the way.
New patrons. So this podcast, if you want it early, ad-free, and with bonus content, and I should say today the bonus content will be that Alan will be taking part in our new item late last year, Death Stories. Have you done a death story before on this show?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, I've told a certain amount of death stories as a comedian because that's the thing that civilians always ask you, isn't it? When you talk.
Well, I just suddenly realised, this again with my producer's hat on, is people kind of like knowing how we sort of, we look into the abyss and sometimes we fall into it. Yeah. So we'll be trading death stories in the Patreon only.
Just got to choose which.
Well, I mean, once you've been around as long as we have, it's almost like, you almost savour it. You go, well, where to begin?
Yeah.
Ones that involve violence. So we will be talking about that later. And if you are part of the Patreon community, you get this podcast early, ad-free, and with bonus content just like that. And that wasn't meant to be a Tommy Cooper catchphrase there. But the best way to sign up is to go to the website. That way creators get more of the money, or do it for an Android. If Apple Music is your only way, they do take a bigger cut. But if that is the only way, by all means do that. It helps also. I'll be doing a breaking news episode later this week. So it also helps fund that. And we have one new Patreon over the Christmas period. Just the one. Matt Hampson there. Do you think people mistake his surname as Handsome? If he's a good-looking lad and he says it to a tipsy lady, which says, Matt Handsome, he goes, yeah, you are. But how women have become a bit over-familiar these days, Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Ladies, in the public eye as well, on television, it's like, on the Strictly judging panel, if a guy's wearing tight trousers, they don't hold back in alluding to that fact. But
right. And there's quite a lot of footage of Justin Bieber as a young man being kind of leered over by celebrity women when he's on chat shows and stuff. There's quite a lot of that, isn't there?
I mean, it is different. The dynamic sexually is different. It's worth acknowledging.
You're going to say it's all right when they do it.
It's all right when they do it, but it's not totally different. Do you know what I mean? We're not talking about different sports here. And I think on Strictly's been the worst offender when Pete Wicks was on it. Just every week, their jaw on the floor, talking about his hip movements, his thrusting movements. And I just thought, poor old Anton de Beek, there's a lot of very attractive young women on that show.
Yes. He cannot leer over them.
Imagine if Sarah McDermott had come out and he'd gone, look, fucking legs on that. Jesus Christ. Oh, dear. Hey. You crack a walnut between those thighs. Everyone would go, Anton, it's been lovely working with you.
Yeah, it's time for you to go.
Domain Talking Point, our super patron, David Domain, keeps an eye on previous week's episodes and elaborates on them. And I was asking about who challenged Jeremy Corbyn for the leadership, because we were partly talking about the likelihood of Starmer being replaced. And it was Owen Smith. Do you remember that? Good bit of pub trivia.
do not remember that, no.
Slightly balding guy with glasses.
Don't even remember him.
Oh, well, he's still an MP, it turns out.
Is he?
It has been ever since. So he spearheaded the leadership contest against Corbyn in 2016. He's still in the Commons, being MP for Pontypridd, which just sounds like one of those places. Pontypridd. Is that the place in Fireman Sam?
Probably.
Since 2010. I don't know. David said something very funny there, which I'm not sure I can read out for legal reasons. Regarding my tweet, I said, I was watching on New Year's Eve because I wasn't really doing anything. I said, I don't know if you saw the BBC coverage, but I said ending and beginning a year with Ronan Keating is sort of an analogy for Britain's managed decline. I did feel a bit bad after that. I don't know why. I don't normally think this, but I thought, what if you read that? I mean, you wouldn't give a shit.
Oh, right.
But when you personally, it wasn't just about Ronan Keating is perfectly fine as a singer, but there's something about him as a booking.
Right. I thought you meant just the negativity of your outlook on Britain it made you feel a bit bad, because that's the sort of thing that happens to me, because occasionally I do bleak jokes. In fact, I used to do kind of almost like a tongue-in-cheek running joke about societal breakdown. Yeah. And I can't really do it anymore because it feels like it's so obviously coming true.
It's not funny when it's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So many people are predicting, a civil war and societal breakdown and World War III, and you think, oh, well, it's not got its mischief anymore. No.
I mean, do you remember during the Brexit campaign, a lot of the sort of Remain humour we're like, we'll be eating dead pigeons in the street. And I do think one of the problems with the Remain campaign was they went far too dystopian. They would talk about, we won't have science funding and there'll be super gonorrhea. If they'd have just said it will be a massive ball ache, imagine if that had been the slogan. It would just be really inconvenient for a while.
Yeah, if they'd sort of pitched it as admin heavy to leave.
They just said, and also you're going to hear about it all the fucking time, to the point where someone says Brexit, you'll go, ugh.
Yeah. Have you ever tried cancelling a mobile phone subscription? It's really tedious. Imagine leaving Europe.
Yeah, just literally, conveyancing.
Yeah.
Imagine doing that, like a form of hell. Like those images of hell where your intestines are being eaten by dogs every second for the rest of eternity. Imagine that, but like in admin form.
What most people think.
The thank you and the fuck you. I'd just like to say thank you to my aging dog, Lily, for providing some hilarious moments over the Christmas break. We just had it in our heads that she might die over Christmas, and for emotional reasons, but also selfish, like, don't fucking ruin Christmas reasons. Right. We were very vigilant about this fact. She's not dead, she's still going strong. But sometimes in the morning, she would be in postures and positions that were so hilariously just like what a dead dog would be lying in the morning. So we come down and her paws would be outstretched, like stock straight. She'd just be staring straight ahead.
Right.
And I go, oh, Lily, is this the... And then just suddenly she'd just bounce up as though she was fucking trolling us. So she hasn't got a specific kind of morbidity at the moment, but she's 14 and a half.
So you're getting to that point where when it happens, people are going to say it was time.
It might be me saying it's time at the vets.
Yeah.
Trying to reach for a syringe. Yeah.
Well, we've been through that. That's and by the way, when you talk about eye gouging prices, has veterinary medicine come up? Because that is a rip-off.
I've been doing a bit in the tour show. I mean, let's just talk. I haven't really thought about this, but the price for euthanizing an animal, that's a kick in the balls, isn't it?
But it's one of those, you have to eat it at that point because it's done, innit? I don't mean eat the animal.
I mean, it would look awful to complain at that point.
Yeah,
and for that to be what you focus on more, you're more angry about that than losing your life buddy.
Even I managed to suppress my inner stingy bloke at that moment.
Were you kicking the desk, though? Just low down. They're like, Mr. Cochrane, are you kicking the desk? No, you are. The fuck you. What is your fuck you?
Well, vets prices would be one of them. I've got a little bit of one today. How long it took to clear ice off my wife's car when I had to drive earlier today. Oh, God, so boring.
So your fuck you is nature and weather.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure I've got others, but they might be non-broadcastable.
It does feel irritatingly long, doesn't it? You think I shouldn't be having to do this. I don't know why it didn't occur to me that I would have to do this. Is usually my issue. I just sort of feel like maybe my car just escaped. It was Why haven't they all got heated things on all of the windows? Why have we not arrived at that point?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fucking ironic, isn't it? The only the only window that can defrost is one of the least useful ones.
And also, we had the sprayer. I had a scraper. It's not like I was out there with a CD like in the old days. I was using an actual scraper.
Credit card. That's me.
Yeah.
You end up with frostbite of the thumb and forefinger.
Yeah.
It's not quite Captain Scott. Was it Captain Scott, the guy that said, I'm just going outside for a while?
Yeah. Just popping off to get some milk.
I wonder if he then popped his head back and went, what I mean is I'm going to die. It'd be good if I got some credit for that. I thought that I would just wanted to leave it, that I'm going out, but it'd be nice if you lot went.
Like putting a tip in and then wondering if the staff have seen it.
Yeah.
Did you guys spot that I just put some money in here?
Yeah, that wasn't an accident, okay?
Yeah.
That's 7%. Okay, we're going to start off by talking about our glorious Prime Minister who's given an interview in which he sought to motivate the nation. So, yeah, we will get to Trump. That is bigger news, but this is a UK-facing podcast, and he gave his New Year interview to Laura Kuennsburg, and he seemed confident, Alan. Keir Starmer seemed confident to a point where you go, does he know? Is anybody talking to him anymore about exactly what's going on? But are your friends? Because it must be awkward if you like work with someone and you're their mate to just go, there's a couple of things, I don't know, look, just put it across your desk, but, less popular than Liz Truss. But that's just one poll. In fact, no, it's not one. In fact, it's all the polls. But what are polls, man? It's like reviewers. Just fucking ignore it, Keith. Everyone loves you, dude.
It's a bit like, and this must have happened to you too, because as you're coming up, you work with older comics all the time. And once or twice in my life, I've worked with older comics that are having bad gigs that think they're having okay gigs.
Yeah. The denial's slipped in.
Oh, either the denial or their gauge has gone for what sounds to them like a good gig when they're on stage. And when they come off, you're like, I'm not sure if they know that that's kind of not really good enough anymore.
I mean, there was that thing with Prince Andrew's famous interview of Emily Maitlis where apparently he thought it had gone all right.
Yeah.
And imagine checking social media after that where you're going like, there's at least going to be one person that shares it and you're just like 2 hours later, you're still scrolling.
Yeah.
And it's universally felt that it was shit.
The horrible irony for Starmer is that I thought of that Andrew and Emily Maitlis head-to-head interview about 10 times during the Starmer one. So that is not the head-to-head chat that he wants to remind us all of, surely.
There was a Royal Variety performance and the mention of his name got a big boo. Now, that is, it's a Royal Variety performance. There's a panto-like element to that. But it was quite significant. I would also say that I go to panto every year and I have seen Prime Ministers booed from Theresa May, through to the Boris, Rishi, Liz Truss, sadly for her, never quite got to panto season. But I was surprised, like the vehemence of the booing. I mean, the unpopularity is quite a genuine thing. So he must...
I think so.
The guy must have some, confidence. He must have a level of self-belief because when she asked him, like, do you think you'll still be in that chair? And he was like, yeah, absolutely, 2027 and beyond. I'm going to be here, Laura, because I've got a job to do. I'm like, no, we've all got jobs to do. That doesn't mean you're not going to get sacked by your mates.
Yeah. That decision might not be yours.
I was wondering as well, right, maybe to give Starmer or all politicians in a way some credit, is like people talking about your unpopularity in public, that must be just really hard. You must be either resilient or slightly psychotic. But also talking about your mates or your colleagues pitching for your job. If, say, for example, Hal Cruttenden was openly in the comedy press saying that he could do a better job on Times Radio than me, right, I would find that a hard thing to process. Several mates briefing to the press.
Not even just that. Like the fact that she says you are deeply unpopular to his face. Like you think, this guy's a human. Like,
I know.
You're horribly unpopular. I can't even remember how she phrased it, but I remember gasping a little bit. I was once at the Edinburgh Fringe and a guy came up to me and said, I don't know if you remember me. We've met a couple of times at gigs and whatnot. I started a Facebook fan page for you, like about your comedy, and I don't want to do it anymore.
Oh my God.
He basically said, I'm not that bothered for your career and following you anymore.
It's not you, it's me. I've moved on.
Exactly.
Maybe my comedy tastes have got more sophisticated. I don't know.
But I remember telling audiences about it and sort of saying, to my face. He said it to my face. But Starmer was on like the biggest political show on Sunday morning, and she's just basically reading his bad press to him.
I mean, it was a double drive-by in a way, because she also went, you're less popular than Liz Truss. So imagine Liz Truss has just gone out on the radio, doing a bit of housework.
Yeah.
And she's got, well, fucking hell. I mean, will it ever stop?
What most people think.
So he seemed optimistic, Keir, which fair play. Someone's got to. And he said that people are going to start feeling the change in their pockets. I felt he could have gone for a less sexual phrase there in a way. You can start feeling some change in your pockets.
Or you could interpret it another way. People are going to start feeling the change in the pockets because there's no notes anymore.
That is all. You're going to be feeling shrapnel under this government.
Yeah.
But then I thought, right, I'm trying this year, because it was a whole year of battering the government last year. And dare I say that might happen again this year. But let's try. How could it be positive? Could it be mortgage cuts feed through, right? But I still think there's loads of people that haven't come off their 5 years as well. But that could happen, right? That could happen. If there is a Ukraine peace deal, energy costs might come down, still 40% higher than before the invasion by Russia, or limited military operation, which has lasted 4 years. And then, China now, because of Trump in Venezuela, they're going to take over Taiwan. Cheap deals, cheap petrol. Good times are going to roll, right?
I'm not sure China taking over Taiwan will help our spending. How do you figure that? Oh, toys are going to get cheap.
They're going to streamline even further.
I'm not sure they can get any cheaper than Chinese toys, can they?
No, that's true. I mean, I'm trying to see the positives, but I'm sort of thinking. I think unemployment is going to go up. I just do, because there's the dual pushes. If you made it harder and more expensive to employ people, and also AI. So when people, I think a lot of it will come through natural wastage. So people will stop working, and companies will go, do we need to fill that position? Yeah. And that's going to carry on for a while. So are we saying that his optimism might be a tad misplaced?
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm not sure he'll be in the job by Christmas. I keep seeing people, Substackers and YouTubers. It seems the time of year where people do a year of predictions, like my predictions for 2026, and sometimes they're funny ones.
And speaking of which, that episode of this show is still available.
Is it really?
Yeah, 30th of December, I got in early.
But I think quite a common one is Keir Starmer won't be in role. I could see a path where, like, the rest of them are kind of so rubbish or batshit that they might not be able to, or in the case of perhaps the ones that some people would be okay with, they're like the far right of the Labour Party. Like, I don't think
the membership aren't going to vote for that. I mean, for some,
no, they're not.
For some sort of centrist dads like us, is it true? The depressing truth is that Starmer and Reeves are probably the least destructive bet, economically speaking, because the path to power is surely that they caught the soft left, a bit like Streeting is at the moment, and a bit of the harder left. And then part of the mandate for being PM is to do like some well left-wing stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what I think. I said before they even got in government, I said, like, this might be a one-shot opportunity to do some of the left-wing stuff they've always wanted to. Halfway through a parliament, they go, well, Starmer's not going to do it. Let's do something radical and essentially do loads of stuff like Blair did kind of administratively that future administrations can't unpick.
Although I think actually they are doing some pretty far lefty stuff, but they're just... the far left are not appeased yet.
It's not far left enough. I mean, he did say at one point, somewhat unbelievably, is that no government wants to raise taxes. Yes, you fucking did.
Yeah.
You did. The VAT on private schools was 100% ideological. The raising of dividend rates is ideological. These are things that any genuine left-winger would probably want to do, but don't fucking piss on my shoulder and tell me it's raining. So there was a couple of things that I thought where he's taking credit for stuff. He said, we've started to bring inflation down. I go, just a little revision here. It was down. Okay. Yes, it got very high during the Conservative government. And Rishi and Jeremy, right, Sunak and Hunt, which sounds like Cockney rhyming slang, complete Sunak and Hunt. They brought it down and then it went up again under your government. So saying we've brought inflation down, well, it's like me saying, babe, I spilt loads of shit in the front room, but I have hoovered it up. And actually there still is some shit in the corners because I'm shit at hoovering.
And also it's stained. Should I have mentioned that? Yeah,
it's never going to be as good again. The carpet is kind of ruined. So I did think there's a little bit of him trying to say that this is a brave new dawn, even when it comes to closer ties with the EU. This is not the start of closer ties. Rishi Sunak's Windsor framework was the start of that. Like objectively, I mean, maybe I'm now full on with my Rishi revisionism, but he had that buddy moment with Ursula von der Leyen when she called him wonderful Rishi.
Oh, right. Are you becoming more and more Team Rishi since you've got Starmer?
So. Yeah. Comeback?
I don't remember him being that popular when he was in, but...
He came in, I mean, it's a bit like the Ashes. He sort of came in, at a really difficult time. It was in a day-nighter.
Right.
The floodlights are on, and Rishi hung in there for a battle in 64. Are you a cricket man?
No, but I can follow the logic.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you're an intelligent guy and you can speak English.
Thank you.
Just finally on Starmer, is like the Brexit thing is that, so there's clamour in his party. Wes Streeting has said, rejoin the customs union. He sort of said, no, we can't do that because we've got trade deals with the US and India that are good trade deals. So it's sort of like acknowledging a benefit of Brexit in some ways. Mm-hmm. But then he said, we're going to go closer to the single market. Now, I double checked, but we do have a zero tariff, zero quota free trade deal with a lot of people don't realise this, with the EU. We do have that. The friction stuff is all in the admin. So I don't want us to rejoin the customs union. But if that's the problem, that would be how you resolve it. And the only way to get closer to the single market, you'd imagine, is some sort of freedom of movement. So is this just more slippery Starmer, where he's telling you one thing and he's just shaping up to do completely? And wouldn't it just be easier if he just said, look, I campaigned for a second referendum. Clearly, I thought Brexit was shit. And yes, while I'm in power, I'm going to do everything I can, bit by bit, to give Brexit death by 1,000 cuts.
I think if he did that, though, that is when we would have some civil unrest, because we came pretty close to it when, like, everyone was talking about 52-48, and then there was all the kind of prevaricating where people were doing the lawfare to try and stop Brexit. And I say all this as someone that voted Remain. So I just thought the attempts to stop it were quite egregious, and how much that would upset the people that really care about this stuff. And I wonder if he knows that some of those people gave him their vote. Like a lot of the Red Wall would definitely have been in that situation where they think, oh, we can't. They voted to leave and now we're kind of going back in on the sly.
But that sly is the perfect word. That's exactly kind of what he does. It would just be refreshing with Starmer if he picked a position and like an actual value system and said, I'm going to fight for that. And if it's wrong, you can get rid of me at the next election. But I think, you call me a traitor, I'd say that I care about this country to the point I'm willing to withstand that accusation. But that's so far from anything Keir Starmer would ever say or do. He's just never done anything like that in his career.
Well, it's a bit like when he said to Trump that we've got a long history and proud history of free speech in the UK, and almost everybody in the room giggled because it's clearly not true anymore. Like, it's so...
I just think he does think this stuff. Like, watching him sit there and just straight face say, like, I'll be here till 2027. We've brought inflation down. It's going really well. You're going to feel the change. You go, yeah, maybe he just needs a mate,
to intervene, an intervention.
Just so you know, kid, there is a breakaway WhatsApp group, and and everyone in this room apart from you is on it. Read into that what you fucking will.
What most people think.
Just a quick one. Among the New Year messages from the party leaders, this podcast alone is scrutinising the Lib Dems. No one's fucking scrutinising these pricks. 70 MPs, what are they doing on a national stage? Well, Ed Davies' New Year's message, he said that he's going to continue bringing the fight to Trump and Farage. But what, not to the sitting Prime Minister? It was so sort of a glaring omission there. Do you think they've got some sort of pact?
Maybe.
That just rolls over to the next election.
Maybe. Or maybe it's just like there's some football teams that seem to get along like they're not really enemies, aren't they?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like, oh, I see too much of him in me. It's a bit like
Celtic and Hibs. They're the Celtic and
yeah. But also, I think he might be under threat this year. Like, he's on some people's...
Well, if he's not moving them forward, and all he really does is take stances that would work very well on Blue Sky.
And get dressed up in a wetsuit and fall off stuff.
He's not a good orator. And also, his thing with just falling off of stuff, that won't work at another election. I think I said in a previous show on here, John Major's soapbox trick in 1992 was new. And then when he did it in 97, you go, is he still doing the fucking soapbox, is he?
Right.
Get over it, mate. That was very 1992. And I do think that for Ed Davey, people go, well, that was more of a 2024 thing, mate. So just know, Lib Dems, that there is somebody out there, you sneaky little fellows, you, that is keeping a beady eye on your inactivity as an opposition. Just a quick hype is that for my tour over the Christmas period, tickets were selling. There's a lot of venues now that are up above sort of 75, 80%. Cambridge, which is the first one back. There's Salisbury, which is getting close. Bournemouth, these are all imminent gigs. Salford, the second date in Norwich isn't till the end of April, and that is close to being sold out as well. So if you do want to see me this year, I've got a sale on, and by that I mean I just priced them reasonably in the first place. So the average ticket price is about 20 quid plus the booking fees. I mean, with stand-up, it is quite funny. I don't know what you think, Alan, and there are some people who have low ticket prices than me. It's fair to say that at my level, I think that's a reasonable price. Sometimes you go, fucking hell, I know you're really famous, but it is still just a bloke with a microphone.
Right.
It's not, you haven't got a band, you haven't got a set or any of this stuff.
Somebody that understands economics told me that if that person that's really famous prices their tickets too low, they're just giving money to scalpers, effectively. Like, it's a bit like when Oasis were 500 quid a ticket. And I was thinking, well, if they make it lower than that, they're giving money to the middleman, like the sort of resale websites.
And your friend who's good with economics would probably have also said supply and demand is that you charge you that, Jeff, because people will fucking pay it.
Yeah.
With yourself, Alan, I know a few people went to your YouTube special after the last one.
They did last time, and thank them for that. It's still up there. I'm putting up some what they called on YouTube, shorts and reels on Insta. And I've also got a Substack that I'm going to try and use a bit more this year, send out funny little essays about, all sorts of mad, daft stuff like jobs and being locked in a car park and mad stuff.
Well, yeah, check out that on Substack. Okay, then we will now talk Donald Trump. So we woke up to the news, was it January the 3rd, that there was a US airstrikes on Venezuela. And I mean, first up, imagine being a troop on New Year's Eve knowing that was coming up. Oh. Or did they tell them as well? He just say, I've got to have a quiet one. No, I can't tell why. Oh, but, I just got to keep it easy. Or you got carried away and then January the 2nd, it's like, okay, lock and load, boys.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive, isn't it, if they do manage to keep it a secret? I don't know how they could do that. But
well, they must. I mean, it must be, if you look at like the seizure of oil tankers, there was a build up, in the ocean around that area. And, it was quite quick and sharp. And then very quickly we had the image of President Maduro on that plane with it was so emasculating, wasn't it? On the plane with the earmuffs on and the blindfold. Do you know what it made me think of, Alan? On Mr. and Mrs. where they used to put them in the booth so they couldn't hear the questions?
Yeah, blindfolded.
So he's probably dancing to a bit of Ronan Keating. What was so interesting about it was the timing. At the beginning of the year, I'm not back in the news cycle very much myself. I'm still trying to ease my way back in. Is it just took everybody by surprise in every respect?
Yeah, and even people that are pretty focused on the news are not at that time of year, and a lot of people aren't that focused on Venezuela and America.
Yeah.
Like, it sort of comes from... I remember when I was much younger than this, I flew to Australia when I was a kid, basically, and whilst I was in the air, the Good Friday Agreement kicked in, I think. And it was sort of like, as a teenager, it just felt like it came from nowhere. Like you jump on a plane, you land, and the world has completely changed.
Yeah,
and it felt a bit like that on Saturday. I did my gig, and then you turn on the radio as you're driving home. You go, "What?"
No, it was shocking, and the reasons given one of the principal reasons given. There's obviously oil, which we'll come on to, but it's the production of cocaine and fentanyl, which is, they've taken out some drugs boats. But, when you look into it, the amount of cocaine and fentanyl that's been provided by Venezuela is quite minimal on the world stage. And there are some people that are saying cocaine and fentanyl are sort of like the WMDs of this conflict.
Right.
It's quite emotive, isn't it, for a certain part of the electorate is you're killing our people with your drugs, so we're going to take you out.
Narco-terrorism, they're calling it. Narco-terrorism. Which feels like... it's like two bad things, isn't it?
Narco-terrorism nonsense. He should have just put nonsense in at the end. I mean, are you buying the cocaine and the fentanyl? Not personally, but like as a reason.
No, I'm not. But I also... I hate to sound like centrist dad yet again, but I'm not buying the idea that this is a terrible thing either. Like, there's loads of good to it.
No, but this is good. What are the goods?
Well, I don't like the idea of Maduro torturing and executing his people, and the fact that they're so poor they're eating litter when the elites in the country are rich. Like, they should be a rich country. They've got gold, they've got oil, they've got gas. Apparently they've got more gas than Qatar. So, like, they should be a wealthy country, and they were something like 30 years ago or 50 years ago or whatever. And then for various reasons, far-left governments have just taken all the power and all the wealth and they've just absolutely stolen from the people. And I think we have to be mature sometimes. Like, I think one of the things that sometimes happens in the modern world when we discuss stuff like this is that it's very tempting. Apparently Kissinger said that geopolitics isn't a choice between like a good and a bad leader of a country. Sometimes it's a choice between bad and also bad.
It's good to hear that take. I suppose the problem is that sets a sort of moral threshold for intervention, because there's a lot of places where that would also be the case.
Yeah, but they're not right next to America, are they? Like,
true.
2,000 miles away or something. And I heard somebody on the radio going, oh, well, if he can do this to Maduro, why can't he do it to Putin? And you think, well,
I mean, that's patently not the fucking same.
It's like Putin's got nuclear bombs and it's miles away and he's got an enormous army. And I
mean, there's a whole list of reasons.
And it would create a war with China. Like, there's just the knock-on effects are enormously different. However, it seems to me like the only people that are really clear about how they feel about this are the Venezuelan people, who are like, yep, we'll take it, even if it means that a guy we don't like, Trump. I heard Venezuelans that do not like Trump on the radio saying, we're delighted with this. This is exactly what we wanted to happen for years.
The way it was gone about, though, is interesting, particularly given that, Trump, part of Trump's MAGA brand was no forever wars, no boots on the ground. I mean, he literally used boots on the ground as a pejorative for a bad decision.
Yeah.
And then he literally was saying, love the boots on the ground. As only Trump can do is start talking about his love of boots and ground. There's been a few rollbacks, but also like the way it was done, there was no prior notice to Congress, but he has come out and said that he spoke to the oil industries both before and after. I mean, that is undeniably an oligarchical way of running a country, right? And now some people might go, well, it's also common sense if you're looking at rebuilding and stuff like that. But that is kind of hard to stomach for some people in what's supposed to be a liberal democracy.
With Trump, I do think there are some bits where you have to go, yeah, I really don't like this aspect, but we needed a bull in a china shop. We didn't need a Labrador in a china shop. We needed a bull in a china shop, and we've got a bull in a china shop. So there is a bit.
I've got to say, I think a Labrador, if it was doing zoomies, could fuck up a china shop. I've just got to. I think the amount of damage, oddly, with a bull and a Labrador is a question of time, really.
Right.
But I totally take your point. A guinea pig in a. Or
too small. It's not going to work.
Panda, lazy bastards, would just be sitting down in the china shop.
Exactly.
I mean, I suppose the worry for the planet is that obviously trying to go for this peace deal in Ukraine, and the obvious sort of extrapolation of this, well, one of them is that it's very difficult to say that Putin, okay, you can't go, you've got to stop messing around in Ukraine, interfering in other countries' affairs. We need like a 20-year promise that you're not going to fuck about in other countries. Yes, we're fucking about in another country, but that's okay because we've made that moral judgment. And also that same principle rolls over to China and Taiwan. So the fear is that it just heralds a new period of power politics and a disregard for international law.
Maybe. I mean, one of the things that I am quite relieved about on this story is that I don't have to have all the answers. That pleases me enormously, because I can kind of watch it a bit like, I don't know, there's some films, not particularly Guy Ritchie, but that kind of oeuvre where I watch it and there's just tons of stuff happening. I think I don't really get what's going on, but I'm quite enjoying watching this film. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel about this.
So you're saying this invasion is like The Gentleman, the series on Netflix. It's like, I'm not sure all of this is actually good for anybody. This is quite entertaining. Yeah. Great personalities. Looks fantastic.
You know, like some spy films, you think, I'm not sure I can't really follow the intricacies.
I never follow spy films or murder mysteries. I just get so bored.
But then at the end of it, I don't go out and criticise it. I don't say to people, "Oh, that's a terrible film," because the third act doesn't really make sense if you look at this mistake in the second. Like, I never do that. I just think, it moves really quickly and it killed a couple of hours. So I'm quite enjoying the soap opera of geopolitics at the moment, whilst also fully aware that I do not get the minutiae. However, I do think that Maduro, right on the doorstep of America, starting to trade with Iran, China, and Russia, you can see why they're like, there's absolutely no way we're going to let you do that. Like, it's the equivalent of tanks on the lawn, isn't it? Like, you can't have enemy powers right on the end of the drive.
There is that argument the other way, that it's chastening for the other superpowers to be reminded of American military might. I mean, what I think about Trump derangement syndrome at the moment, though, is that it's a two-way thing. There are people that are singularly unable to acknowledge the kind of wisdom or creativity in anything he does. Mm-hmm. There are also people that will just automatically abandon quite solid positions on things just to support what he does as well. So there will be people in the MAGA movement that have said, don't get involved until, and then they're like, lock and low, baby. That's what we do. That is what we do. And just finally, I find it odd. The British right have hit a level of patriotism, which is that they sort of want to be invaded by Trump. I find that hard to square. We would love you to invade us, mate. I go, hang on.
I'd be up for it. I'm not even part of the British right, and I would so much rather have Trump take over than Starmer. Like, I feel for Starmer because he's so boring comparatively. Like, even this last few minutes, we've become more animated because Trump is so excited. Like, it's like he's doing like night missions and he's just big and Starmer's like, and I feel for it because I have an empathy for that, because sometimes I'm the boring guy in a green room talking about how I've managed to get 52 miles to the gallon on a journey, and then the rest of the dressing room are like sex fiends that are doing drug-addled parties and telling their stories, and you go, oh yeah, I'm the dull guy in this green room.
Do you know what? I'm now wondering if our Patron only should just be you revealing how you get 52 miles to a gallon. I think that's what the listenership wants.
What most people think.
Okay, so for the rest of us, we will be doing death stories and possibly fuel economy, but for everybody else, it will be the end of the show. But if you want to hear this, you can join up to the Patreon now and you can get this content. Just a fascinating death story there from Alan. And if you're just interested, because people are interested about that void of how you manage it, and I think that was one of the more interesting ways of managing it. But if you want to know what that was, then join the Patreon-only community and you'll get that extra content. And Alan, as you say, you got your Substack, you're doing stuff on it, doing bits.
Yeah, bits on Insta and bits on YouTube. More to come.
Okay, and I will definitely be doing a breaking news episode this week because we've got the first, at the very least, we've got the first PMQs of the year on Wednesday. Can Kemi continue taking the fight to Starmer, or will old Billy Big Bollocks Starmer just come out and say, nothing is wrong, everyone loves me, I'll still be here. Unless Donald Trump sends a fucking helicopter, I'll still be here.
In a world of endless notifications, there could be an important one you're missing. Your kidneys may be signaling an SOS. With high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes, your kidneys could be warning you of early signs of damage, which may put you at higher risk for events like heart attack or stroke. But there's a simple test that can help spot a hidden signal. Ask your doctor about a urine test called UACR to help detect kidney disease and heart risk early. To learn more, visit detectthesos.com today.